Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and in today's video, I want to talk all about the Epic Game Store and the possibility of exclusives ending. Now, I don't have any concrete information or anything like that. This is just my theory, my hypothesis, but you look at the current climate of EGS, and it doesn't seem like they have a lot of exclusives lined up. I mean, you look at the major games coming out, Resident Evil 3, Cyberpunk 2077, what else you got? You got Marvel's Avengers, you got all these games coming out, and I don't recall any of them really going the Epic Game Store route. And you would think, in comparison to last year, if they were going to throw significant money towards a game like Metro Exodus, they're going to throw significant money towards games like Control. Those games, while yes, very notable and people were upset about the EGS exclusivity, they definitely have had some opportunities to lure in even more major games, and it doesn't seem like any of that is happening, and I really raised the question why. And there's another story that we'll tackle in a little bit. I don't know if this is related at all with Paranoia Happiness is Mandatory. Maybe some of you guys are aware of this story, but we'll talk about that in a second. It has been a year, and now you're starting to see games trickle back onto Steam. We saw the Supergiant title that I can't remember the name of right now. I think it's called Hades. Yes, Hades. It's a very good game, and it's back on Steam, and it's being received very well over there. Metro Exodus is about to be re-released onto Steam come February 15th, and I don't know if it's coming to a point where Epic Games is assessing the value of exclusivity, and they realize, hey, maybe it's not actually worth it. Look, I'm just looking at the upcoming calendar of releases. Maybe Epic Games is waiting for a big event to drop all of these exclusives, but a lot of these games, I believe, already have Steam stores listed, and I think Steam has a new policy in place that if you have a store listed, you can't do a bait and switch anymore, and that's really good. The bait and switch with Metro Exodus was so lame, and there have been other bait and switches. Outer Worlds kind of had a bait and switch, and that stuff is just hot garbage. Like, we don't actually know the official sales of these games. What I heard was Borderlands 3 did well, but how much did Epic Games pay for Borderlands 3? You have to factor that in. They paid a significant amount of money. And yes, we can go in circles all day. They have all kinds of money thanks to Fortnite. But at what point do you just look at this as an absolute loss? At this point, you have a year's worth of games that you've acquired. You should have seen substantial growth within the market. Is it really worth to go through another year of paying tens of millions of dollars for games that are they really worth tens of millions of dollars? I loved Control. It was one of my favorite games of 2019. That was a game that when I saw the finances of how that deal came together and what the rumored numbers were, I was stunned. I was shocked. I was like, my God, they offered Remedy, and I think it's Deep Silver are the ones that published the game. I don't recall right off the top of my head. Whoever published the game, maybe it was a self-published title, but they paid a lot of money for Control. And I was just like, man, there is absolutely no buzz for Control. I was excited for it, but I didn't get that sense from the gaming world, and I have a pretty good sense of what's going on and how people are receiving certain games in terms of the lead up to its release, and that buzz just was not there for Control. And I can understand from a Remedy standpoint, they might have picked up on that too, and they might be confident that the game is going to be good, but they're also thinking, hey, we can have some financial security here. We can have some security that this game is actually a success. Let's take that deal. That's why I'm never going to blame any of these developers. If they're going to take the money, I'm not going to blame you. It's a business. You have to support the development of the game. In the case of Borderlands 3 and games like Metro Exodus, I am annoyed by certain things. Like Borderlands 3, it's a gigantic studio. Like, I get it. You can make even more money. Fine, do that. Metro Exodus was garbage because they promoted the game on Steam, and that's hot garbage. You can't be doing that. But for a game like Control, where you do need a little bit of that security, by all means, go to the Epic Game Store. A game like Hades that's still in early access. You're not even going to release the game anytime soon officially, and Epic Game Store is offering you a significant amount of money to release an early access first on there. By all means, release it on there, and then it came to Steam a year later, and now everybody's playing it as the game has progressed. It's just, I raised the question of how valuable were those exclusives. And I also offer you this. What value is exclusives on a self-contained platform where there is such a leader in terms of what platform people love? I'm sure people want to play games like Borderlands 3. I'm sure people want to play games like The Outer Worlds. With The Outer Worlds, the game released on the Microsoft Store as well, and then ultimately Xbox Game Pass. But these games were not these colossal heavy hitters that were really going to turn heads. Maybe Borderlands 3, you can make an argument for that, and the lead up to that game had so much negative press, and the issue is with a lot of these games just going exclusive because gamers have been accustomed to playing their games on Steam. By announcing that exclusivity, you already put this in negative backlash towards the game, and that does hurt you. That absolutely hurts you, and that's gonna make people think, hey, I don't want to buy the game, and it's like sticking it to the man. Everybody likes to stick it to the man, but then ultimately when the game comes out on Steam and it's a little bit cheaper, I think everybody will forget about that, and everybody wants to play games like Borderlands 3 on Steam. At least I think a lot of people do. And a lot of people did. A lot of people did play the game on Epic Game Store, but I think the game could have sold better. A number just came out where Borderlands 3 sold 8 million copies. That might be true, but you have to take into account that's PlayStation 4 sales, that's Xbox One sales. How many of those were Epic Game Store sales? And even if it did sell like 2 million copies on the Epic Game Store, well, it may have sold 4 million copies had it been on the Epic Game Store and Steam. And from a 2K game standpoint, they're probably thinking, hey, we can take a crap load of money from Epic Games right now. They're just paying money everywhere, and then we can release the game on EGS. It might sell pretty well, it might not, who knows, who cares? 6 months later, we're gonna release the game on Steam too. Maybe we'll pack in the DLC, maybe not, whatever the case may be. They're gonna buy the game on Steam too, and then everything's gonna be as good as normal. And I'm sure from a financial standpoint, at the end of the road, they're gonna make a lot more money on Borderlands 3 for the PC version of the game, going the Epic Game Store route than rather going the traditional release route. But what does that offer for Epic Games? This is a very big thing in like streaming services right now, and I've mentioned this before, but these streaming services, and they have a ton of money, they are paying absolutely obscene amounts of money to just acquire content. Oh, DAZN wants the Canelo fights. Oh, this platform is paying X amount of dollars, X millions of dollars for this piece of content, and that's where Epic Game Store was at, because they want to convert you into that platform. They have to spend so much money, and they do have the resources right now because of Fortnite, but that is such a massive undertaking, and for them, I really question how much money are you making, because I don't know the ins and outs of the contracts, but are you offering, $30 million for a game, or $20 million, $10 million, whatever the case may be, for these games for exclusivity, and then are you telling that publisher, that developer, that you still get 88 and 12, you still get whatever percentage that you want? If you're offering that percentage on top of the additional money, my god, how are you even clearing any sort of profit off that? Obviously, you're not when you just take a look at the Epic Game Store without Fortnite. They're making all kinds of money with Fortnite, but when you just look at the essence of the Epic Game Store and what they've implemented over the course of a year, and obviously, for the first few years, any new venture is going to lose a lot of money, but in this case, a year went by, you spent so much money, and do you really have anything to show for it? Maybe some good game sales, but how much of that revenue did you take home? How much of that revenue for Borderlands 3 did you take home? Was it the 88 and 12? Because that's a scary number. Think about all of the money they have to spend for the infrastructure of the Epic Game Store, and then you spend all the money to acquire these exclusives, and then you're only keeping 12% of the revenue the game generates. This is something not a lot of people talk about, but that is a scary, scary thought. And I understand that it's a long-term game. Look at ESPN Plus too. ESPN Plus, they were at 1.8 million subscribers at the end of December. They added all that content last year, and now they're up to like 7 million subscribers. Some crazy number. They've added so many subscribers, but that is a paid subscription service, and ESPN Plus is still losing ESPN money. It's a long-term game. It's just with the Epic Game Store, I haven't really sensed that they have anything to show for it. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but at this point, with them not announcing any exclusives, think about this time last year. This time last year, we knew Metro Exodus was going to be an exclusive. They already put out Hades, and we knew the formation of all of these games coming to the Epic Game Store exclusively. What can we say about the store right now in 2020 at the same time? What I can say is I don't notice any major exclusives, and I don't notice any major evolution with the platform as well. And what I do notice is other games, these timed exclusivities are coming up. Metro Exodus, back on Steam next week. Hades, back on Steam in December. Borderlands 3, you guys may have not realized, but that's not a year exclusivity. It was a 6-7 month exclusivity, so come April, May, that's gonna come back to Steam, and at that point, it's like, man, you are gonna really lose out on the value on those investments, because at least with an ESPN Plus, for all the millions of dollars that they dropped on the UFC or whatever, that is theirs. That is theirs to own. It's not a timed exclusivity. it's not a timed exclusivity for DAZN on the Canelo fights. Well, it's 11 fights, but you get each fight, and I imagine it would stay on the service. Services like that, you get to keep the content. I'm sure there's a reoccurring fee that you have to pay, whatever the case may be. But at the very least, for the foreseeable future, they are going to be on those platforms. With Epic Game Store, you're talking 7-month exclusivity, 1-year exclusivity. In the grand scheme of things, what is that? God forbid they paid money for Red Dead Redemption 2. That would have been the biggest head scratcher, because Red Dead Redemption 2 did inexplicably release on the Epic Game Store, the Rockstar Store, but not on Steam. Came out on Steam a month later. I don't know whose decision that was. I don't know if that was a Rockstar decision, a Take-Two decision. I don't know what, but that just seems a little strange. Maybe it was worked into a deal with some of the other games, because I believe a lot of these exclusives that Epic Games did have were the Take-Two publishers, and all of those games fall together. But still, the Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't know if they pay for it. We don't know, but that would be really, really funny, because I don't think anybody bought Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Epic Game Store. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but very few people bought the game on EGS, because you would think if you did want the game before it came out on Steam, why don't you just go to the Rockstar launcher and whatever on that. I do also want to know, because I feel like I've gone on a tangent and you guys know where I'm coming from. Epic Game Store, an exclusive has disappeared on the store and no one is saying why. So everything I've said is before. This is the gravy on everything I've said. Paranoia Happiness is Mandatory is a sci-fi classical RPG co-developed by Black Shamrock and Cyanide Studio based on the Paranoia tabletop RPG. And as far as I can tell, it's a decent RPG with an interesting take on AI noted by VG247. The game was initially set to launch on November 14 last year, but ended up getting delayed to December 5th. It is an Epic Game Store exclusive, which makes this whole situation even more unusual. Sometime after release, presumably late in January or earlier this month, the game just vanished. Its Epic Store page no longer exists, returning a 404 error, and though a Steam page is still listed, it has a vague 2020 release target. This is common for games with Epic Store exclusivity, which often retain their Steam pages until the exclusivity period ends, but still, now you just have an unexplainable disappearance. I tried to look up the Paranoia Happiness is Mandatory Twitter page, couldn't find anything there, so I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if these two things are linked at all. I don't know. That's just something to note, and that does add another layer to this story, so make of that what you will. But I definitely want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Am I off base, or do you also sense this? Because you're not hearing a lot about exclusive talk. You're not hearing that they got a Resident Evil 3, or they got this game, that game. I can't think of like all the games coming out, because so many of them got delayed into the latter portion of the year. So who knows, maybe an exclusivity agreement can be worked out. But nonetheless, definitely let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.